PARWF. So the rest of the settings, like this is for single object, material being the point of entry, and we'll keep the workflow as 86, which is rule based workflow, and we will copy all. So we see that a new change request will get created in the system, and this change request will then have the assignment of business activity MAT1, which is okay in our case. So now we will use this change request type, and first let's save it. And then directly we go to the workflow step. So we know that this is a rule-based workflow, and within the rule-based workflow, let's define these steps. So we can then pick up these steps of MATL01, and let's copy these steps. And replace this with the steps which are required. So first I'll convert all these steps, create all these steps with the new change request type. Now we see that this being a standard, so the step 0, 90, 91 to 99, they are standard steps, and let's create for the parallel workflow certain additional steps may be required. So let's modify these or include more steps into it for parallel workflows, as we saw in the diagram. So here we saw that certain dummy steps, they need to be created, and also a step for the merge point. So there are 3 dummy steps, 2 for parallel branches and 1 for the dummy step. So let's modify so that these things, they get reflected in our workflow process. So the first is request is 00, and the second one, so let's have new entries wherein we define the change request, and we define this step as 1, and let's call this as or let me call this as dummy step for parallel steps, right? So this is the first dummy step, and so next we'll see later. Now similarly we require another step. The number of this step is 2. So this is again a dummy step for so we identify this with the type of change request. We call this as step number 2, and let's call this as dummy step for merge, right? So these are the additional steps 1 and 2 along with the standard workflows. Then also we will require additional steps. These are the approver steps 11 and 12. So in our process, we'll keep the same change request type, and we define the CR is step number 11, and we can call this as processing branch 1. And similarly, we can define another step 12, and we call this as processing branch 2. So this is the mapping for 11 and 12. So 1, 11, 12, 2, they are created in the system. Then we also require an additional approval step for the main branch. We call this as 30. So let's create this step 30. It's not there in the standard template, and we can simply call this as processing, and so the next step number, how do we sequence, we'll see later. So the 30 gets created, so this gets mapped. Then final check 90 is already part of the template. So 90, 95, 99, then 92, 93, they're all already part of the standard template, and we should have those mapping. So let's save this, and now let's come back and open this ZZM PARWF. So we see all these steps, which is 0, 1, 2, 11, 12, 30, 90, 91, 92, 93, 95, and 95 and 99. Now we can also have we can align these steps. So for example, instead of defining directly from 0 to 90, 90 is the final check, so we move this, and instead of this the initial could be 11. So from 0, when the change request gets processed, it moves to the processing branch, which is 11. And once we are into 11, then we go to 30. So for 11 it is 30, and also for 12 this would be 30. So both the branches, the next step would be the processing step 30, and it is at this step of 30 then we say 9090. So so let's say that should be the sequence. So first, when the change request is submitted, it goes to step number 11 as a branch. Then step number 11 and 12 will take 30 30, which is processing step, and from processing we go to the final check, and also from revision processing 95 it goes to 90, which is a final check which comes from the template. And we will keep the validation on the final check, so we don't need to change this validation checkbox. Now once we are done with this step configuration, we will save this workflow step, the CR workflow step. Now an additional configuration step may be required for highlighting, so that we are able to track the changes. So in this case we can go to ZZM PARWF and select this line and go to interface, user interface, and now here we can choose this highlight